Hello, welcome to Life Matters. I'm your host, Brendan O'Connell. Well, oftentimes we look at the pro-life movement and we forget those people that have been involved with abortion or are affected by abortion. And where do they turn? Where do they go? Because oftentimes they're told to be silent. They don't know who to talk to confide their feelings post-abortive. And I've done many shows that shows that the effects of abortion are not good for women long-term, both psychologically, emotionally, higher suicide rates, things of that nature. And today we have with us the Massachusetts Regional Coordinator for Silent No More. Welcome, Kathy Hill.
Thank you, Brendan. Thanks for having me.
Kathy, what is Silent No More all about? And can you tell me also how you got involved?
Sure. Silent No More is a campaign to mobilize and equip the pro-life movement to understand the wound that abortion really inflicts on so many in all of our society. And we also want to recognize the need for healing that goes along with abortion. The Silent No More was started in 2002 by Father Frank Pavone and Janet Morena, who is the executive director, and Georgette Forney is the president. It was a joint combination between Priests for Life and Anglicans for Life. And so far, we've had 1,600 gatherings in 17 countries and 48 states, which basically there were 6,000 men and women who have shared their testimony. Our goal is really to tell people that abortion is not good for women, because that is what the pro-choice world is trying to get out as their message. But we have real people who say, no, abortion is not good for women, and let me tell you my story and how it has hurt me and has affected me. We are a campaign that we have a website. It's silentnomore.com, and on that website we have a place where you can register your regret for abortion, just kind of like check a box. And we have 17,000 people registered on our website that have said, abortion has been bad for me. We also have 2,400 testimonies from people posted on there who just send in their story. And we have
You mean over the internet?
Over the internet, yeah. You can just go on and just tell us your story and just say that why abortion was bad for you. And we also have 400 video testimonies from people who are brave enough to get on camera and tell their story.
And is there, when they tell their story, do they say, you know, I need healing? Or do you get in touch with them saying, do you need healing? You know, asking them a question after they've told their story? I mean, is there interaction after that? Or?
Absolutely, that's my job. As the Massachusetts Regional Coordinator, it is my job when somebody goes on the website and says, I've had an abortion, and yes, I need healing. It's my job to find a healing program for them somewhere throughout the state, hopefully close to where they are. There are many, many different programs. Many of the pregnancy resource centers have them. They're at the churches. They're anything from Bible studies to weekend retreats, and that's my job, to make sure that they find something that's going to help them get through it, to have a place to go to share their heart.
I see. Now, I'd like to take a look at the various categories that, first of all, women, do they regret their abortion, and what would you talk about in that particular? You had a poster to that effect, I believe.
We do. That's our sign. We are the women that are standing on the Supreme Court steps at the March for Life in February down in D.C., and this is our sign. And this is what you'll see. The women march with this, and they're standing on the steps saying they want people to know that, yes, I do regret my abortion, because what we hear all the time, that abortion is quick, easy, and you'll never have to think of it again. And that is just, frankly, a lie. For millions of women, and this is the sign that they can let people know that, yeah, I do regret my abortion.
I know the Elliott Institute has done psychological studies, and about 64% of women are pressured into having an abortion, whether it's you know, the boyfriend or the husband or the parents or even grandparents. And or their peer group, and of course, the baby's growing each day inside the womb, and so that pressure is there. And the studies show that there's immediate relief, but then after that, if they have an abortion, but after that, then it's all negative emotions, which last a lifetime.
Right.
How do you cope with that with these women?
Generally, what we do, first of all, we give women a place to tell their story, because when you choose abortion, you actually choose silence. Many women, and I would put this out there to women out there, if you haven't told more than 5 people that you've had your abortion, if you have trouble telling the story, many women, they choke up and they can't even tell the story. They don't want to think of the story because it hurts too much. We give them a place where they can heal, where they can tell their story, and we take basically their experience of a horrible day when they were just frantic, scared to death, and chose to take the life of their own child, to tell them that yes, your child's in heaven with God. You will see your child again one day. I mean, Brendan, women tell me, whether they've had an abortion 5 years ago or 40 years ago, that they think about that child every single day. But they can't tell anybody about that, because people say, well, you chose this. This was your choice, and this was a good thing for you. But in their heart, they know they've lost a child. So we help them through that. My favorite part of, I run a healing Bible study called Surrendering the Secret. And we talk through all the aspects of abortion, with their anger. We get them to forgiveness. We have a memorial service at the end of it for their child. They name their baby, and they bring a flower to represent their baby at this service. And it's a lovely prayer service. And women have never been given the chance to grieve the loss of that child.
I would imagine there are a lot of tears at that.
There are a lot of tears start to finish, but we laugh a lot too, because things are kind of crazy. Yeah, we laugh, we cry, we tell jokes. It can be very heavy. It's a difficult journey for women to have to face this, but that's the only way they heal.
And what about the aspect of anger that you mentioned? They're angry. What are they angry about? Having been pressured into abortion, or are they angry at themselves, or are there other areas of anger that they would have?
It runs the entire gamut. Mostly women are angry at themselves, and that's the hardest part. When they come to a healing program, a lot of women know that they can be forgiven by God. They can be forgiven by their baby, but the hardest part for them is to forgive themselves, because they know that it was ultimately them who made that decision themselves, and they're angry with themselves. But what this does is that this is a wound so deep that festers so long that they can get angry at anything and anybody, and many of the women don't even have any idea why. And what we do in our healing groups is to connect that anger to their abortion, and if women are blindsided by it. I had one woman in my study who said she was angry at her kids, and she would yell at them if they couldn't get an answer right on their homework. She's like, "What's wrong with you? You're so..." And she wouldn't know why. She would just be so angry with her children. After going through this study and this healing program, she realized that there should have been another child sitting at the table doing their homework with them. And that was her anger that she kept way down inside of her. And she told us after the healing program that her children got better grades in school because she didn't yell at them quite as much. So, we get that too.
I see. Now, another aspect that's really not talked about a lot, and very few men come forward, but you say men having abortion. You had a slide on that? Or?
Yes, we also have a sign for men who have been involved in an abortion that says, "Men regret lost fatherhood." And, this is, men are involved in abortion here too. And many times men will say to the woman who's pregnant, "I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll support you." And then a woman will say, "Well, do you think I should have an abortion?" And he'll say, "Well, I think, you should." Well, a woman wants to hear, "No, I'll take care of you. We'll do this together. You'll be a great mother." That's what women want to hear. But when guys don't say that, well, then the abortion comes, and then they look at it and they say, "This was my child." our pro-choice culture tells us that it's a clump of cells, and we know, science knows that is not a good argument anymore. We know that that is a developing child in the womb, and they have to deal, men have to deal with the fact that they have taken the life of their own child as well. They did not protect that child.
And what kind of emotions do they have? Do they, for instance, there's a situation sometimes where women don't even tell the person who got them pregnant.
Right.
And they'll have the abortion without them knowing, and then maybe they might find out down the road. I guess anger is another issue for men, similar to women. Does it take different forms, though?
Absolutely. Well, you're making my case that the wounds of abortion are just so far-reaching that you don't even know where they're going to come up next. And yes, for fathers who don't even know that this woman has taken the life of their child, there's absolutely no control in that. And where do you go with that? I mean, that's just such incredible emotion. Who do you talk to? What do you say? How do you even reconcile your own emotions? Nothing prepares you for something like that.
Mm-hmm. And where do these men turn? Can they turn to your organization?
Absolutely. We have a whole section for men on our website, and there are healing programs for men as well. I actually did a healing program with a gentleman who he and his wife aborted their baby when they were engaged. So they got pregnant before they got married, and they did not want their family to know. And then I also, in that same group, there was a grandfather who his daughter had had an abortion, and he paid for his son's girlfriend to have an abortion. And so this is just, as we said, it is so far-reaching.
It implicates a lot of people.
It does, absolutely.
Now, you had another one about grandparents. What was that? Do you have a...
Yep, we have signs, and this is how far it goes.
Before.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't think about this, but every time a child is aborted, there's 4 grandparents involved. So this is a sign that we say, I regret losing my grandchild to abortion. And a lot of times, as I said, when women choose silence, they don't tell their family, and grandparents won't even know that they've lost this child until it's too late. And a grandparent might say, I'll help you, and they will encourage that pregnant woman that she can, in fact, have this child. She'll be a wonderful mother, they'll support her, but a lot of times shame and guilt gets in the way, and these conversations aren't had. So we have this sign for grandparents as well.
And what about grandparents that pressure? I've heard of grandparents pressuring the pregnant granddaughter. I mean, that happens too, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it happens, all over. Parents, grandparents, even friends. A lot of women that I work with, they'll say, I was pregnant and I told my best friend, or my two best friends are like, oh my gosh, just get rid of it. They want to go back and be unpregnant. And you can't be unpregnant. You're just, you know that you've lost a child, and that child lost his life because of your decision.
And many miscarriages happen in the first trimester, where a person wouldn't even need an abortion because there's going to be a natural miscarriage, which technically is an abortion, but it's natural. Your system biologically isn't going to be able to, whether it's not producing enough progesterone or whatever.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But when you find out that you're pregnant in an unplanned pregnancy, you're not thinking, oh, well, maybe I'll miscarry. No, you're scared. You're frantic. You don't know what to do. You have all these plans, and you want to finish out these plans. You may not even really love the guy who got you pregnant. There's so many things that they're thinking about. So that's really why women they go as quickly as they can to get it done, because they don't know what else to do.
And is there ever a discussion just regarding mother and parents and grandparents about the intergenerational loss of the next generation? Do they have those kinds of discussions?
They do. I'll tell you a story. There was the woman who was running the program that I run, Surrendering the Secret, was at a conference, and it was a 2-day conference, and after the conference, a woman came up to her and said, hi, I've traveled here from 3 hours away. I brought my mother and my 2 kids. They're at the hotel because, I wanted to come by myself so I could really focus on healing from my abortion. She said, will you help me tell my mother that I had an abortion? And sure enough, she said, okay, fine, no problem. The mother and the daughter were together, and the daughter said, "Mom, I want you to know I've had an abortion." And the mother just became hysterical, crying, couldn't hardly speak. And she said, "Mom, I'm so sorry." And she was then felt full of shame and guilt. And the mother said, "No, no, no, I'm not crying because you had your abortion. I'm crying because I had an abortion. And if I had told you, maybe you would not have had an abortion."
Wow.
Yeah, it's powerful. I've had a woman in my study who, her daughter had an abortion at 17 at the same age that she had had an abortion. But mothers and daughters don't talk about this. If they talked about it, a mother could tell her daughter how difficult a road this is, and that it is not, it's quick, easy, and you'll never have to think of it again. And that is just completely the wrong.
So keeping this inside you all those years, it has to affect you both emotionally and psychologically, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Women say they have nightmares. They don't eat. Women, after they've had an abortion, will try and numb out by either starting to take drugs, start to drink alcohol, or they increase what they're doing because they just don't know what to do with all this emotion and how to face this pain. And you can't tell anybody because people, they're like, all right, you can cry for a couple of weeks. I mean, I get it, it's hard, but after a while, people don't want to hear it. And then women just, what the word is that they always tell me is they stuff it. They just put it in a place deep inside of them, and they don't ever want to look at it again because there's just no reconciling it. But what I'm telling you, you can reconcile it. There are lots of programs out there that will help you work through that. And it's women who have had abortions and know exactly how you feel.
Now, you had a fourth category, a sign that you have.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what this is all about? Now, I've never seen this before,
Yeah.
but I know of a friend of mine who was an unintended consequence. I think he gave a ride to a woman to an abortion clinic who was one of his friend's girlfriend.
Yep.
What is this? I regret being an accomplice to abortion. What would that?
Yeah.
Who would be in that category?
I would be in this category. This is
would?
me.
Oh, is it?
Yes. When I was in college, I had a friend come to me and say that she was pregnant. And this was back in 1983, just 10 years after Roe v. Wade. And we were probably the first generation really raised on living in that kind of a culture. And you were just taught that you're supposed to say, "I'll do whatever you want to do." And that's what I said to her. And everything inside me screamed, "No, no, 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 no." But I didn't say anything. I didn't have the words. I didn't have the courage. And I helped her. I took her to get the abortion. And sadly, after she got the abortion, we talked about it for a day or two after. Remained friends all the way through after college till now. And we didn't speak about it for 28 years.
Wow.
28 years. Maybe once or twice, like 2 or 3 lines about
Until
something.
she probably asked you, "What are you doing these days?"
No, well, yeah. I said, yeah, I just got trained in this program. I'm part of Silent No More, and that's the thing that we want to get out to the world. It's time to start talking about it because so many people go through it. So that would be what an accomplice was.
So you regret having given her a ride to the abortion
I
clinic?
regret that I didn't tell her the truth of how I felt, and I should have said, maybe we should find some help and talk about this with somebody who knows what they're doing, because we didn't. And so you just, again, it's that panic, it's that fear, and you just rush into it. And now there's so many pregnancy centers out there where someone will talk through this with you, and then you decide. But at least then you have all the information.
And ultrasounds are becoming more frequent at those pregnancy help centers.
Absolutely,
which is a
yeah.
great thing.
Over 90% of women who see that their baby on an ultrasound will not abort that baby.
Can I ask you, what would be another form of an accomplice? Are there other categories or other types of accomplices?
Sure, it would be the medical staff in abortion clinics, nurses, or even if they're answering the phone. Just secretarial help, administrative help, people there, doctors. Actually, we have a new sign that's coming out for doctors who are turning away from what they're doing that says, "I regret performing abortions." You can imagine when a doctor realizes and sees his heart that he has taken the life of all these children, the emotion of that must be so overwhelming. But that's why we have, Jesus, because he'll forgive everyone if they just say that they're sorry.
That they regret their abortion. Well, now, for instance, how many places or how can people get in contact with you? How many places are here just in Massachusetts that they could reference? Or is there a web address for you, or website for you, or that they could get in contact with you directly?
Yeah, if they go to the website, silentnomore.com, and on the website you can see I want to register my regret, or I need healing. And what you do is you go to a map. You can click on the state of Massachusetts and my picture and my contact information will come up, or you can just type in your zip code and it will find the closest place for you to get healing. In Massachusetts, we have over 15 pregnancy centers throughout the state that I know of, and usually at each pregnancy center there is a healing program. And of course, you have Project Rachel, which is part of the Catholic Church, and Rachel's Vineyard, which is a evangelical healing group, which are retreats that you can go to as well. So there are many, many different healing programs out there for women all throughout the state. And that's as I said, that's my job, is to connect that woman with that program, or just to talk to her, because it may be the first person that she's talked to about it ever.
Now, I wanted to ask you, I know it would only be circumstantial, the people that you've counseled, but the issue of infertility once a person has had an abortion, do you find that there's higher levels of infertility for women that have had an abortion? Yeah,
Brendan, that's a great question. I keep asking people if there are studies, and I don't think there are studies for that, but in the circle of women that I have counseled and seen, I'm also a counselor at a pregnancy center, there are too many women who have not been able to have children after an abortion. And to me, that is so heartbreaking, that the only child they ever conceived, they have taken the life of. And how do you deal with that? Like, where do you go with that? That's why we so want women to reach out to us and tell us their story. We want them to be silent no more. Don't stay by yourself. Don't isolate yourself. Don't suffer through this alone. We want to help you.
Are those women mostly in their mid to late 30s that can't have children? For instance, say they had an abortion 17 to 23 in that age bracket, and then they get married at 30, and then they're having trouble conceiving. Is it the issue of conceiving where they could go to a program that would be like natural family planning, the Creighton model, which really goes in and tries to diagnose what the medical condition is? But for the men, it's just three issues. It's the sperm count, how well the sperm swims, and motility. I guess that's how well it swims, and heat. But for the woman, it could be a host of different issues, many, many issues. Do you refer people to natural family planning, or is it because they just haven't had trouble, they've had trouble conceiving, or is it because a doctor might have said, well, you have scarring tissue, and it'd be very difficult for you to conceive because of the scarring? It's
all over the spectrum. Usually when women come to us, they've already been through a host of medical tests. They've been with their doctor. They've been trying to conceive for so long. A lot of them have no idea why, which is why I say I wish there were more studies, like why are these women not able to conceive when there's no real medical reason. But the numbers, just to me, and this is just the world of Kathy Hill, the numbers are too high for women that are infertile and that have had abortions.
Do you know, and maybe this is a little off track, but do you know if when they go to these fertility clinics, on the questionnaire, did you have an abortion? A medical abortion. Do you know if that's the case or not?
I don't know about at fertility clinics, but I do know that at OBGYN doctor's appointments, it's always on there as well.
It is.
And the irony is many women lie. They say no because they can't even face it. So, but that's something else. So all the women out there, you must tell your doctor, because there are so many correlations to breast cancer and all kinds of other issues that women need to know.
Compromising the cervix.
Absolutely.
Where they
for later pregnancies, a lot of preterm births because of that. So it is something that you should never lie to your doctor about. I wish I just wish that women would be honest, all the time, because then they wouldn't hurt so much and they wouldn't feel so alone. But definitely, women say, they lie about it. It's
Even in the confidentiality of a doctor's office.
That's how difficult an issue this is for women. That they will lie to their doctor about it.
Well, Kathy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We really appreciate your driving all the way from Mansfield, Mass. To get here to downtown, a section of Boston. Really appreciate you coming.
Well, now, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here, and I just wish for all the women out there, please be silent no more. Find help, tell your story, because you may help someone else along the way.
And we hope you found today's show to be unique, informative, content-rich, truthful, and thought-provoking. Thanks for watching. I'm Brendan O'Connell, your friend for life.